The village of Hollow Creek was old, very old, older than anyone could remember. It was the kind of place where shadows lingered long after the sun went down, where the wind seemed to whisper secrets through the trees, secrets about the past, dark secrets. One story haunted Hollow Creek, the legend of the haunted mirror. It was said to be hidden in the old abandoned church on the hill, a church nobody dared to visit anymore. The story went that the mirror held the souls of everyone who had looked into it, and on Halloween night, those souls could escape. This Halloween, a group of friends decided to test their bravery. They were drawn to the legend of the mirror. They wanted to see if it was true. The old church stood on a hill overlooking the village. Its windows were dark, like empty eyes. The once bright paint was peeling. The air around it felt heavy, cold. The friends were Max, Lily, Jake, and Chloe. Max, the bravest of the group, pushed open the creaking door. Inside, the church was dark and silent. Dust covered the pews. Cobwebs hung from the rafters. It smelled old and musty. Lily shivered. "This place is creepy," she whispered. They walked down the aisle, their footsteps echoing in the silence. The only light came from the moon shining through the broken windows. At the front of the church, behind where the altar used to be, they found it. The mirror. The mirror was taller than Max. Its frame was made of dark wood, carved with strange symbols. The glass itself was cloudy and seemed to swirl with shadows. "Whoa," Jake breathed. "It's like something out of a movie." Chloe leaned closer, her breath fogging the glass. "I don't see anything," she said. "It's just an old mirror." Max raised his chin, trying to act brave. "Let's see what happens when it's officially Halloween," he said. They waited. The minutes ticked by, each one seeming longer than the last. The church grew colder, the air thicker, harder to breathe. Then, the church bell tolled midnight, 12 times. The sound echoed through the empty building, sending shivers down their spines. The mirror began to glow, faintly at first, then brighter and brighter. The friends huddled closer, their hearts pounding. Faces started to appear in the mirror. Faces from the past, faces they didn't recognize. A woman in a long white dress, a man with a cruel smile, a young boy with fear in his eyes. They flickered in and out of view, their expressions filled with sadness and pain. "This is weird," Jake stammered, taking a step back. Chloe grabbed his arm. "Don't look away," she whispered. "I've heard that if you look away, they'll take you." Lily whimpered. "Take us where?" But Chloe didn't answer. She couldn't take her eyes off the mirror. It was like she was being pulled in. The faces in the mirror were getting closer. Their eyes seemed to follow the friends no matter where they moved. Their voices, faint whispers at first, grew louder. They were begging, pleading, "Let us out, we're trapped, help us." Max stumbled back, bumping into one of the pews. He tripped and fell, his eyes never leaving the mirror. The faces were right there, close enough to touch. Chloe screamed, "We have to get out of here." They turned to run, but the church door was gone. In its place was a solid wall of stone. They were trapped. Panic surged through the group. Lily pounded on the wall where the door had been. "Help! Somebody help us!" But her cries were swallowed by the thick, heavy air. There was no escape. The faces in the mirror were laughing now. A cold, cruel laughter that echoed through the church. Jake grabbed Chloe's hand. "We have to break a window!" he shouted. They raced to the nearest window, but it wouldn't budge. The glass felt thick and unyielding, as if it were part of the wall itself. Max was still on the floor, his eyes wide with terror. He couldn't take his eyes off the mirror. He felt frozen, paralyzed. One by one, the faces in the mirror began to disappear, until there was only one left. A young girl with long dark hair and piercing blue eyes. She stared directly at Max. "Don't be afraid," she whispered. Her voice was soft and gentle, not like the others. "I won't hurt you." Max found himself drawn to her sadness. He felt a strange connection to her, like he knew her. "Who are you?" he whispered back. The girl smiled sadly. "I'm you," she said. "Or rather, I'm what you could become." And with that, she reached out from the mirror. Her hand, cold as ice, clasped around Max's wrist. He screamed as he was pulled towards the mirror. The next morning, the sun rose over Hollow Creek. The village awoke, but something was different. The air felt heavier. The silence was deafening. The villagers went about their day, but a sense of unease hung over them. Something wasn't right. Where were Max, Lily, Jake, and Chloe? Lily, Jake, and Chloe stumbled out of the old church, blinking in the sunlight. They were pale and shaken. They couldn't quite remember what had happened. They just knew they had to get out of that church. But Max was gone. The villagers searched for Max. They scoured the church and the surrounding woods, but he was nowhere to be found. It was like he had vanished into thin air. Lily, Jake, and Chloe were devastated. They told anyone who would listen about the haunted mirror, about the faces, about Max being pulled into the glass. Some people believed them. Others dismissed their story as a Halloween prank gone wrong, but everyone felt the change in Hollow Creek. A darkness had settled over the village, a darkness that wouldn't lift. A few days later, a strange thing happened. A delivery truck arrived in Hollow Creek. It stopped outside the old abandoned church. The driver unloaded a large, ornately framed mirror. It was just like the one in the church, but brand new. Nobody claimed the mirror. Nobody knew where it came from. The villagers, afraid to touch it, left it where it stood. One by one, people started to notice something odd. When they looked into the new mirror, they saw glimpses of Max. A fleeting smile, a flicker of fear in his eyes, a silent plea for help. The legend of the haunted mirror took on a new meaning. Now, it wasn't just a story. It was a warning. A reminder that some things are best left undisturbed, that some doors should never be opened. The villagers of Hollow Creek never forgot Max. They avoided the old church and the new mirror. They knew that some things could never be unseen, some horrors never forgotten. The haunted mirror remained, a constant reminder of the darkness that lay just beneath the surface, a darkness that whispered on the wind, a darkness that would forever haunt Hollow Creek.